Hi, I'm Rebecca Wald, and I'm a psychologist in Baltimore, Maryland. I am here to talk to you today from my cozy quarantined basement about taking care of your mental health in the age of coronavirus. And I just want to say that this is not going to be a highly produced video. I'm trying to get it out rather than to have it be perfect. So, a couple of notes before we get started. I am a psychologist, but I'm not your psychologist. If you are in ongoing treatment for a mental health condition, it's really important that you be in touch with your own provider at this time. If you are feeling really intense symptoms right now, like thinking about hurting yourself, don't listen to a video. Call the National Crisis Hotline at 1 800 273 8255. Okay, so about 10 days ago, I was down in Tennessee providing psychological first aid after the tornadoes that they had there. And it's occurred to me over the last few days that a lot of the advice that I give about coping for disasters is really useful advice to people now who are quarantined or afraid or social distancing because of coronavirus. So let me give you some of the things that I've learned from helping after disasters. First of all, you don't feel normal right now because this is not a normal situation. If you think about it, given all of the changes that have happened so quickly to our society and our lives, if you were feeling like totally regular right now, that would be kind of weird, right? You're in a frightening and surprising and uncertain situation, and it is normal to have emotional reactions to that. So if you're feeling sad, if you're anxious, if you're irritable or just plain old angry, if you are exhausted and taking extra naps, those are all completely normal and reasonable responses to being in a life changing, stressful situation. And it's really okay to feel that way. So, a lot of people right now are thinking, why do I feel so messed up when I'm not sick? No one in my family is sick. Why do I feel like things are falling apart? So many people have it worse off than me. I certainly hope that you are not in the worst possible situation that you could be in. But even if you are not, even if there are people who have things much worse than you, it is okay to have your feelings. It is reasonable, it's normal, it's expected. Um, you are allowed to feel this way, and you are worthy of some special care, even if you are not one of the most affected people. All right, so what are we going to do to take care of ourselves? The first and most important step, because it provides a foundation, is to make sure that you are taking care of your body. So that means eating regular meals, drinking fluids, plenty of water, moving your body to the extent that you can, whether that's going out for a walk or doing some indoor exercise to a video you pull up on YouTube, or going up and down the stairs in your house a dozen times. Really, anything that gets your body moving is going to be helpful at this point. And making sure that you are allowing yourself enough rest. And I'm going to talk more about resting later because sometimes that's easier said than done, and I have some advice. Um, right now, there are a lot of things in your life that are completely different from how they normally are. So, one thing that can really help is giving yourself little pieces of regular wherever you can get them. So I'm not saying break quarantine and go over to your neighbor's house for a cup of coffee. Um, you need to be safe and you need to be sensible about it. But looking for little places where you can have your old routine back, or you can just do things that make your life feel more regular, can have a really powerful effect. So that might mean FaceTiming or Google Hangout with a good friend. It might mean keeping to some of your regular routines, like getting up in the morning, taking a shower, and putting clothes on. Uh, it could mean doing like normal activities with your kids, going out and doing some yard work, or really anything that was part of your normal routine before you were quarantined. If you can get that back into your life now in little pieces, it's really going to help. One thing that I suspect a lot of you are doing, because I can't stop myself from doing it, and I'm a psychologist. You may be constantly monitoring the news. You may be refreshing daily updates about how many cases there are. You might be constantly looking at websites, reading different newspapers, watching cable news, and seeing the constant updates about coronavirus. And one of the reasons that we do this is that we feel like somehow it's helping. Somehow, if I am exposing myself to all of this scary news, nothing's going to take me by surprise. Or if I am reading every possible scrap of information that there is about the coronavirus, then it's going to be easier to keep my family safe. And sometimes I can even feel like I owe it to the people who are sick and dying to be monitoring this very closely. So here's the truth: you are not helping anybody by reading about this all the time. And you're not helping anybody by getting every news update on your phone or by watching cable news for hours at night for more scraps of information. That feels a lot more useful than it is. Um, if you are struggling right now, I strongly recommend putting yourself on a news diet where maybe at the end of the day for 15 minutes or half an hour, um, say at the late afternoon or early evening, you'll go and you'll look at the news and see what you missed by not following it during the day. And then you're going to turn it off. Because constantly exposing yourself to scary information doesn't help as long as you know what you should be doing, which for most of us is staying home and not going anywhere. As long as you know what you should be doing, you don't need to track what everyone else is doing. And that also means that you don't need to be following arguments that people are having or getting into those arguments about what's the best response to this. Um, why can't I break quarantine? So those arguments are happening out there, but if you are feeling anxious right now, you don't have to be part of that. There are going to be other people in there making the arguments that you would make. And you can put yourself on a news diet and choose to limit the amount of scary stuff that you are exposing yourself to. All right. My next suggestion is that all of us need to be thinking right now, who's on my team? And the people on your team are the people who are supportive of you and who you do not have a difficult and complicated and conflictual relationship. So these might be people in your family, they might be friends, they might be outside sources of support like your pastor or your therapist, your book club. Um, the people who are on your team are people who your interactions with them are going to be positive and supportive. Right now, if you have a friend who's as anxious as you are and the two of you are getting each other worked up, you're not on each other's team right now. And it doesn't mean that you're bad friends. It just means that right now your friendship is probably harming you more than it's supporting you. So I want everybody to think about who's on your team and make a plan for how you're going to stay in contact with or reach out to the people on your team. The people on your team can know that you are scared or angry or anxious or sad. There are people who are going to be able to hear that and support you. You don't have to do this by yourself. You don't have to be like the strong person who can power through quarantine without having it affect them. So, what if you have difficult things that you have to get done right now? What if you're working from home and your kids are home and you're trying to supervise their education or keep them from killing each other while you also do your job in an unfamiliar format? What if you wish that you had a work from home job to worry about because you've lost your job and you're not sure how you're going to pay your rent? You're not sure what's going to put food on your table. Maybe you have a family member who is at high risk and you're focused on trying to think about how can I get them help? These problems can seem so huge as to be overwhelming. And if you look at the whole problem all at once, or if you think about what if we have to quarantine for a year? If you look at that all at once, you're going to find yourself paralyzed, unable to act, and just feeling frightened and lost and hopeless. So, we are not going to try to deal with all of it at once. We are going to cope with this in little steps, in little bite sized pieces. What I tell people is you can eat an entire whale if you do it one nibble at a time. So if you're having a hard time right now, when you wake up in the morning, think about what are 3 nibbles that I could take of the whale that is currently sitting on my plate. And focus on getting those nibbles taken. Don't focus on the broad picture. If your primary fear is that we're going to do this for a year and you're going to go crazy, your nibble is how am I going to get through today? Or maybe even just how am I going to get through the next 3 hours? How am I going to make it till my kids take their nap? How am I going to make it till I go to bed tonight? You want to narrow your focus and pick small nibbles of things to work on at a time because the whole whale is way too much. It's overwhelming. Don't try it. Okay, one last thing that I want to say is when I said make sure that you're getting rest and sleep, I could almost hear you out there saying, wow, Rebecca, sleep, what a great idea. Why didn't I think of that? It's so easy for me to sleep when I am quarantined and worried about what's happening or worried about my bank account. And I can't turn off my brain and go to sleep. I would if I could. So I have a couple of pieces of advice for you. Those of you who are parents, when your kids were little, you probably had a bedtime routine for them. If you don't have kids, you probably had a bedtime routine yourself when you were little. You're just looking a little further back. So your bedtime routine for a kid might look like take a bath, read a story, sing a song, some other calming stuff. You are going to sleep better at night if you can create a bedtime routine for yourself that's kind of analogous to what parents do with little kids. And that sounds silly, but it's actually really helpful. The first piece of advice that I have about sleep is to turn off all screens an hour before you're going to try to go to bed. Instead, try to fill that hour with calming things. So that might mean taking a hot shower or a warm bath. It might mean putting on some soothing music that you really like, um, reading a frivolous, not scary, not too serious book is a really good thing to do before bed. Um, Maybe writing a letter to somebody that you care about, saying uplifting things to them to help cheer them up. All of these things are going to help put you into a calm mindset before you go to bed. Because believe me, if you are following the news or running around trying to get stuff done right up until the minute that you fall into your bed, you might be exhausted, but you're not relaxed enough to sleep. So make sure that you're giving yourself a good wind down period before bed. If you still have problems sleeping, there are a lot of good apps and videos out there that give you a sleep routine or a sleep, like an audio to help you calm down. I use the one on Headspace. Uh, Calm is another app that's really good, or you can just find some videos out there. So I hope that this advice is helpful. You should remember, you should not be aiming for feeling totally okay and like I can do anything. That is not a realistic way to feel right now. You are aiming for, I can cope with the way that I'm feeling. It's okay for me to have these feelings. I'm going to get through this. And the advice that I've given here should help with that. If there's interest, I'm going to make more videos. I've already been requested to do one for the unexpectedly now homeschooling parent. So that's going to be my next video. But if you have other suggestions, I would love to have you leave a comment, or you can email me. My email is minds.in.focus@gmail.com. Take care of yourself. Take care of your body. Take care of your family. You can do this. We'll all get through it together. Bye bye.